I caught a tremendous fish and held him beside the boat, half out of the water, with my hook fastened in the corner of his mouth. He didn't fight. He hadn't fought at all. He hung a grunting weight, battered and venerable and homely. Here and there, his brown skin hung in strips like ancient wallpaper, and in its patterns of darker brown was like wallpaper, shapes of full-blown roses, stained and lost through age. He was speckled with barnacles, fine rosettes of lime, and infested with tiny white sea lice, and underneath 2 or 3 rags of green weed hung down, while his gills were breathing in the terrible oxygen, the frightening gills, fresh and crisp with blood, that can cut so badly. I thought of the coarse white flesh packed in like feathers, the big bones and the little bones, the dramatic reds and blacks of his shiny entrails, and the pink swim bladder like a big peony. I looked into his eyes, which were far larger than mine, but shallower and yellowed, with irises backed and packed with tarnished tinfoil seen through the lenses of old scratched isinglass. They shifted a little, but not to return my stare. It was more like the tipping of an object toward the light. I admired his sullen face, the mechanism of his jaw. Then I saw that from his lower lip, if you could call it a lip, wet, grim, wet, and weapon-like, hung 5 old pieces of fish line, 4 and a wire leader with the swivel still attached, with all their big hooks drone firmly into his mouth. A green line frayed at the end where he broke it, 2 heavier lines, and a fine black thread still crimped from the strain and snap. When it broke, he got away. Like metals with their ribbons, frayed and wavering, a 5-haired beard of wisdom trailing from his aching jaw. I stared and stared, and victory filled up the little rented boat. From the pool of bilge where oil had spread a rainbow around the rusted engine, to the baler rusted orange, the sun-cracked thwarts, the oarlocks on their strings, the gunnels, until everything was rainbow, 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 and I let the fish go.
So, in the poem The Fish, the speaker can be reasonably inferred to be either Elizabeth Bishop or a nameless fisherman or fisherwoman. The occasion is a fishing trip or a camping trip, and more specifically, the act of catching this very large prize fish. Now, there isn't an audience in particular, but it could be because the speaker is thinking to themselves and noticing details about the fish, that the audience could be also the speaker, but there isn't really any sure way to tell. The subject is this very old, very large prize fish that the speaker reels in at the beginning of the poem. And the purpose is to show this personal connection the speaker made with the fish. This goes along with the tone, but the first 4 lines, the tone has a very triumphant feel. They have caught this prize fish, and with relative ease, and they're very happy about this. They're very triumphant. They're filled with glee. But this quickly turns to an admiration and awe towards the fish. It has many battle scars. The speaker is noticing the very heavy detail in the fish's skin, its anatomy. And towards the end, it also notices that it has been caught many times and released as well. 4 or 5 times it has survived being caught by other fishermen. This leads the speaker to feel it deserves to be let free due to its battle scars and its medals. This speaker created a deep connection with this fish and has developed a sense of admiration towards it, deciding that he does not want to keep the fish as a prize, but rather set it free as a sign of respect. Some interesting things to note are the heavy diction. It's very respectful, battered, venerable, homely. And there are also a couple dashes spread around to make natural marks, almost as if the speaker is interrupting their own thoughts, which I thought was a very interesting thing to note while reading the poem. It gives it a different, strange feel, almost as if it's being spoken aloud and thought up in the moment.